Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana. And we're here today with special guest, Sandy Weaver, who's here to share with us her new book, Happy Vet, Happy Pet, Caring for Your Pet's Caregiver. Do you understand the heart, mind, and life of your pet's veterinarian? Well, today we're going to cover just that. As the program director for the Center for Workplace Happiness, Sandy Weaver creates the training programs, workshops, mastermind groups, and keynotes that help people lead happier, more successful lives. She is also a citizen scientist in the fields of neuroscience and positive psychology. In 2019, she took the resilience tools and strategies she's been teaching to general audiences and crafted programs specifically for veterinarian teams. Her goal is to touch the life of every veterinarian and technician in a way that helps them avoid the pain and despair that comes with an inability to manage stress. So let's welcome to the show, Sandy Weaver.
Hey, Marianne, thank you so much for inviting me to be part of your day today.
Oh my goodness. I was so impressed with your book. I have to ask you, what inspired you to write this?
Oh my gosh. My veterinarian is also a very good friend. She's been my veterinarian since 1994. And it's always been known for decades that there's been a high rate of suicide in the veterinary field, but nobody ever documented it until the Centers for Disease Control did a study. And the study results were astonishing. And I've known two veterinarians who completed suicide. And so that study hit really close to home. And so work that I was doing with any kind of company, that resilience work, I just looked at it and I said, I really, really, really have to focus on veterinarians because they need this so badly. And so I decided, well, okay, I'm going to create this program for people in dog clubs because I've been doing dog sports for over 40 years. That would be 40. Yes. And I called the program, The Care and Feeding of Your Veterinarian. That was the name of the program that I did for dog clubs right up until COVID hit. And then I decided, well, it can be a book. And that's how it turned into a book because everybody's telling veterinarians how they can help themselves. And that's really good because all of this starts with veterinarians helping themselves. And clients are part of the problem. And clients don't understand there is a problem. So that's the whole focus of this book. It's to help clients understand the stress that their veterinarian is already under and then how we add to it without meaning to and how to stop that.
Oh my gosh, that's like the crux of the whole problem there because you're so right. Nobody really knows what the vet's going through.
Right.
And so when you were doing your research for this book, how did you decide, okay, there's some information here that I think people really need to know about? How did you decide what would go in the book?
Marianne, I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but sometimes things just feel like they flow through me. And this book did that. It really was interesting. I had created the program that I was doing for dog clubs, and you go and you do a program in person, and you play with the audience, and you figure out what works with them and what resonates with them. So that really is the core of the book. Was the program that I was doing, and I already knew what made them go, their eyes get wide, or their eyebrows go up, or their mouth come open sometimes, and so that was the basis. And then the research is research that I've been doing for years. I'm a citizen scientist in neuroscience and neuroplasticity and positive psychology. So that's ongoing research that I do. And it's just the pieces that fit in the book and the pieces that fit in the program. And then the chapter on suicide prevention and how we as an individual human being can save someone from themselves when they're in suicidal desperation. We can do that, and it's not hard to do. And that's why I devoted a chapter on it, because it's as powerful as being able to do CPR. And it's like CPR for the soul. We can do it. And so that I felt like had to be a part of this book.
My goodness, how important is that? Because you're so right. So there's so many people that don't understand what's going on, or how maybe the way they act accumulates for the vets and our veterinarians, and have them really kind of get to a place where they're in overwhelm.
And unfortunately, a lot of veterinarians live there a lot. And it starts with who they are as a person. They are very focused, very driven, very perfectionist for themselves. They don't expect perfection out of anybody else on the planet, but they expect perfection from themselves. And they have a hard time asking for help. And they're working with living beings who don't always continue living no matter what happens. Sometimes despite your very best efforts, an animal's going to die because every living being, even plants, die. Everything dies. If it's, a rock is not going to die, but it's not living to start with. And so veterinarians have that little piece of themselves that they beat up on a lot.
Yeah, that's really easy to see because, as we develop a relationship with our veterinarians, they develop a relationship with our pets.
Right.
And so one of my dear friends is a veterinarian and she loved my dog. And so when I had to put him down, I didn't even go to her because I was like, oh my gosh, it's just going to be too much.
Yeah. That was a gift that you gave her. Thank you for doing that, Marianne.
Oh my goodness.
Some
Well,
veterinarians really want to be the one to take care of it. And for some veterinarians, it's just very difficult. I mean, the euthanasia piece is difficult anyway, but they understand the gift that they're giving. Just as we understand when we make that decision for our pets, that it's a gift. And yet, even though we understand it's a gift, it's still hard for us. And even though they understand it's a gift, it's also hard for them. So I don't know whether it's easier to go to a vet that has no relationship with that animal. I put down a dog a couple of months ago, and she was almost 16, so she left nothing on the table. And I was happy that she chose 3 o'clock in the morning because that meant that she didn't go to my friend, the vet, who delivered her. She was born by C-section. And my veterinarian did the C-section. She was the first person to touch that puppy. And so I was pleased that Duffy decided to go at 3 o'clock in the morning. And yet I also felt bad for the vet who didn't really know whether she was sick enough to be putting her down. He was taking my word for it. He'd never seen her before. And so that piece has to be a little difficult too.
yes, I can see how that would be so emotional. We had a traveling vet come in and she was just a godsend. I mean, she handled everything beautifully. And, it's a tough time no matter what.
Yeah, it is.
So, what are some tips that people can use to really kind of look at how they're treating their vets and maybe do a little bit better?
Oh, wow. I outlined 3 really simple rules in the book. And those 3 rules are to respect everybody in the hospital and follow the aftercare instructions to the letter, which most of us do not do. And by not following the aftercare instructions, we are standing between our veterinarian and our pet. Our veterinarian just wants the pet to get better. So if we can't follow the aftercare instructions, then we are the obstacle. And I don't think any of us knows how much that hurts the veterinarian to when they understand that's the problem. And then the third thing is we are so good at telling our friends that we have the best veterinarian ever, and yet we don't tell our veterinarians that. So thank them, send them presents now and then, send them thank you notes when they've seen your pet and things have gone well and everything, the medicine that got prescribed made the dog better or the cat better. Send them a note and let them know that. Don't just wait until the next time you have a problem and call them up and ask them to solve the problem again. Thank them. Let them know the outcome because this is a person who has as much schooling as your personal doctor. Your doctor. They are a doctor, and we treat them more like a transaction. And
That's shameful.
yeah, but it's not because we do it on purpose, it's because we just don't think about it. So the whole purpose of this book is to help people think about your veterinarian as a person. That's why that first chapter is all about a day in the life of a veterinarian.
Yeah, it really explains things in a way that I think people can put themselves in that position and go, gosh, okay, I had no idea it was this difficult.
Yeah. It's it starts with the veterinarians themselves, as I mentioned, and it starts when they're very young. Most veterinarians know they are going to be a veterinarian sometime between the age of 9 and 12. They're That's how young they are, and it's not a career that they're after. It's a calling that they are pulled towards. And so if they sit down at school and they tell their guidance counselor that they want to be a veterinarian when they grow up, the first thing the guidance counselor is going to tell them is that it's tougher to get into veterinary school than it is to get into medical school. And that is true because there are fewer veterinary schools and about as many people want to go to vet school as want to go to medical school. So it's very tough to get in. So from the age of 9 to 12, the ones who really are determined that they're going to be a veterinarian are focused and driven. They have to be straight A students. They spend their out of school hours and their summer vacations volunteering at shelters or working as an intern at a vet hospital or working at a boarding kennel so that they can work around animals and learn about animals. This is who they are from a very young age. And they go to school and they're taught, up until about 10 years ago, they were only taught medicine. About 10 years ago, when people started realizing, hey, veterinarians are having to deal with a lot more than just their patients. They're having to deal with business issues. So a little bit of business was thrown into vet school. And so they get a little bit of business grounding, but they come out of vet school wanting to take care of animals because that's all they've ever wanted to do their whole life. And they land in a business that is very people heavy because you can automate a lot of things, but you can't automate a triage. You can't automate somebody coming in and taking your pet's vital signs and taking your pet's history before the veterinarian comes in and saying, when did the vomiting start? Are they eating? Are they lethargic? Have they been playing with their toys normally? Tell us, some human being has to do that. You can't assign a piece of equipment to do that. So veterinary hospitals are very people heavy. And when you put people together, you get friction. And even if the veterinarian is not the owner of the hospital, as the ranking person there, they tend to be the person who has to take care of the interpersonal issues. That is not what they want to do. They want to take care of animals. They don't want to intervene in spats, and they don't want to try to figure out how to make two people who aren't getting along get along. That's not what their training is, and that's not what their passion is. So that's a stressor. They also come out of vet school with between, on average, $150,000 to $500,000 in student loan debt. That is a huge amount of debt coming out of school. And so they've got that stressor going on. They tend to be coming out of school and starting in practice at about the same time most people are starting married lives or starting young families. So there's that piece of work-life balance that may or may not be in order. And then the clients start coming in, and you've got clients who research on Google. They go to Google and they say, here's the symptoms. Well, this is what my dog has, and this is how it's supposed to be treated. And they come in and they tell the vet that. Would you do that to your regular doctor? Most of us wouldn't, but a lot of clients do that. They look it up online, and so they add that piece of stress to their veterinarian. It's just a ton of stress.
Yeah. And not to even mention, a lot of times I know they juggle how much things would cost versus adequate care for the pet.
Oh, Marianne, that is an excellent point. Thank you for raising that. And I saw a headline recently that the purchasing of pet insurance has tripled in the last couple of years. And that is really good news for veterinary mental health because of what you just said. Veterinary medicine is going the way of human medicine. Lots and lots and lots of sophisticated testing. That does not come for free. There's a cost to it. And it's really good to be able to get the tests that tell us exactly what's going on with our animal. And it's really good to have treatment protocols. But if the client can't afford it, then the veterinarian is in a really tough position, because the veterinarian can't, as we talked about, they have a lot of student loan debt, most of them, and it costs a lot of money to run a veterinary practice. If they happen to be the owner, it costs a lot of money to run a veterinary practice. If they're not the owner, they make about half of what a human doctor makes. So they've got more student loan debt. They make about half of what a human doctor makes. And so that financial stress is there. Then you've got a client who wants to be able to take care of their pet, but they can't. And the veterinarian wants to be able to help the pet, doesn't want to euthanize the pet, but it may be the only option. Depending on how sick the pet is, it could be the only option, or palliative care until until the problem is just too far gone. So being able to recommend, or having clients who are savvy enough to go out and get pet insurance, is really a godsend for veterinarians.
Well, on that note, we're going to pause here for a quick break. We've been speaking with Sandy Weaver in regards to her new book, Happy Vet, Happy Pet. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
Are you an actor, public speaker, or an executive telling your story over Zoom? Jean-Louis Rodrigue and Scott Weintraub's new book, Back to the Body, takes the process they use to coach top Hollywood talent like Margot Robbie, Jack Black, and Ke Huy Quan, and makes it available to everyone. Using your body and its energy as a point of departure, your work will gain an enhanced level of performance and depth. Back to the Body, available on Amazon and wherever books are sold.
Every day, pets are surrendered and abandoned. For these helpless and hurting animals, Paws Humane Society acts as a voice for the voiceless, providing hope for a brighter future. You can make a difference in the life of a shelter pet. Become a humane hero today. Just $10 a month will provide much-needed food, shelter, medical care, and love. It takes a community. It takes heroes like you. Together we can. Together we will. Together we are Paws Humane. Visit pawshumane.org to be a hero in every animal story.
What if everything we think we know about addiction, depression, anxiety, and trauma is missing the one key element that will actually let you walk away from them for good? My name's Bob Gardner, founder of The Freedom Specialist and creator of a body-based approach that eliminates suffering and creates happiness, health, and well-being on autopilot. You can read all about it in my book, Built for Freedom, or start your own adventure toward lasting freedom at thefreedomspecialist.com.
If you want to stop divorce fast, you do not need to waste years in therapy, you do not need to work on yourself, and you do not even have to have your spouse on board. If your spouse wants out, if they're filing for divorce, separation, or having an affair, what you need is a proven process to turn your marriage around. Book a free breakthrough session with us at highthrivecoaching.com/apply.
Dr. Richard London, who has 25 years of experience being known as the Man of Steel with the Heart of Velvet, presents the Life Wellness System, The Road to Yes, a mentoring system that brings you to becoming a wellness heir. Imagine having wealth, wellness, love, peace, and spirituality in abundance and balance now. Visit doctorateoflife.com or call 720-213-8021 for a free 15-minute wellness evaluation.
Hi, this is Jana Wilson, author of Wise Little One, Learning to Love and Listen to My Inner Child, a best-selling prescriptive memoir in inner child healing. I'm also the founder of the Emotional Healing System. The inner child, simply put, is your feelings, both positive and negative. If you'd like to learn to love and listen to your wise little one, pick up my book at Amazon or visit my website at janawilson.com. It's never too late to have a happy childhood.
The first thing you need to know about me is that I love my kids, but they are not my everything. they used to be, but that's when my entire life fell apart. In order to pick back up the pieces, I had to put the love I have for myself before everything else, including my kids. I'm Jessica Dennehy, and I own multiple businesses. I'm a best-selling author, and I have all the strategies that I've used to make my life what it is today. And I'm going to teach you how to do them in my new book, Selfish is a Superpower. So go get your copy today on Barnes & Noble or jessicadennehy.com.
Announcing a revolutionary tool for wellness. Scalar Light has the ability to enhance and harmonize your own bioenergies. With Scalar Light, you can get started in just minutes and begin feeling better the very next day. Scalar Light is a remote energy that gently and subtly works with your own body's bioenergies, increases pro-cellular wellness, and enhances your body's immunity.
Experience the benefits of Scalar Light. Try a complimentary 15-day experience at scalarlight.com.
In your hands lie ancestral patterns. These patterns shape how you think, what you struggle with, and experiences you love, your life pattern. We're going into the latest neuroscience of biological hand analysis, a realm beyond palmistry where science and the soul entwine. Hand analysis is the latest method to transform lifelong patterns. I am Master Hand Analyst Brent Bruning. Join us and visit thepowerinyourhands.com.
Pandemonium. Fast forward 20 years. A U.S. president seizes control of all U.S. missiles, the power grid, the banking system, and every computer in America as he hides in an underground bunker. Pandemonium, a captivating sci-fi thriller where a hidden war, psychics, aliens, artificial intelligence, and transcendental love collide with the latest media technology. Pandemonium, live to all devices. Get your copy on paperback or digital. Free sample at getpsychic.org.
I'd like to thank Jason Eastwood at Guitarfulness for sharing his inspiring music and talent with us. His music is known worldwide for cultivating atmospheres of harmony, inner peace, and clarity. Visit Jason's website at guitarfulness.com. Join his newsletter, be part of his community, and download his music. Welcome back to Moments with Marianne. We're here today with special guest Sandy Weaver in regards to her new book, Happy Vet, Happy Pet. So before we left for break, we were talking about some advice you would give pet owners. What is some thoughts on that?
A good piece of advice, and if I was going to do a rule number 4 would be please consider pet insurance. I got a dog last year and looked at pet insurance for the first time. I've had dogs for a long time and I've never had pet insurance on them. But I decided, well, let's run the numbers. And when you get pet insurance for a young animal, it's kind of a low cost every month. And so that's what I did. And I looked at the numbers and I thought, okay, let's say she lives 13 years. And let's see what the premium, if the premium doesn't change, how much is it going to cost over 13 years? The amount was less than I have paid for one emergency hospital visit. So I looked at that and went, well, that's a no-brainer. I believe we're going to get insurance on her. So
oh my goodness. And you're right, because when I adopted my dog, I did not get insurance, but I spent a fortune on his medical care. Right. And it's interesting because now they do things like acupuncture and, chiropractics and things that really, help our pets along.
Right.
But, there's a cost to all that.
There is. And thank goodness there's a cost to that, because that means that the treatment is available. So I've had several dogs bitten by copperheads. I live in the South and we have a lot of copperheads. And so I've had that experience a few times, and that's not cheap. But the good news is each time the dog got to come home. So, they're bitten in the face by a venomous snake, and there's a happy ending to the story. So that's good. The not so happy ending is the several $1,000s that it cost. And if that happens with my current dog, it will be covered. So
Oh, that's good peace of mind right there.
exactly,
I'll
exactly.
keep that in mind for my next dog.
Yes, yes. Veterinary pet insurance is such a gift to your pocketbook, to your pet, and also to your veterinarian because it keeps open all of the potential treatment options that are available. So when you think about it that way, to me, it just makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
I don't sell pet insurance.
neither do I. But I can see the value in that. And you know it, and I had mentioned that, yeah, these items cost. It's interesting looking back on the care that my dog got. I mean, I couldn't pay my vet enough for all the things that she did for us, because that compassion just comes forward. And it's like, there's some things that just don't have a price tag.
Right. Yeah. Oh, and veterinary, when you have a partnership with your veterinarian, there is nothing in the world like it. It's fabulous to be able to know that if there's a problem, I have somebody I can rely on. And this is where clients make a mistake a lot of the time because especially I have my veterinarian's personal cell phone number. I have her husband's cell phone number. I I know where she lives. We're connected on Facebook. We're connected on LinkedIn. Um, and so at 4 o'clock on a random Saturday afternoon, when she's enjoying her off time, I have to sometimes sit on my hands if I have a question. And remember that she's not on duty and she doesn't have my dog's charts in front of her. And it's not her job to answer my question right now. I can hold my question until Monday, or I can go to the emergency hospital. Even though we're really good friends, and maybe I should say, especially because we're really good friends, that's my choice. I can wait if I feel like my dog can wait, or I can go to the emergency hospital. And she will be notified first thing when she gets there on Monday morning, or maybe sooner, depending on what the issue is. And I will hear from her if she's available. But it's very tempting to have this fabulous relationship with our veterinarian or a great partnership with our veterinarian and feel like we should be able to text them at 3 o'clock in the morning because Fifi is not feeling well. Your vet has to have a life. Your vet has to have a life. They've got to have off time just like you do. Please remember that.
That's so important. And and there are boundaries there when we develop friendships with our vets. I mean, my vet is a dear friend of mine. And so when we get together, there's no shop talk,
Exactly.
There's none whatsoever. I might show her a picture of Maxwell and say, "Hey, look, he's, she likes to see those." But other than that, there's like no shop talk,
Right. Yep. It's a friendship not because of your pet. It's a friendship because of the friendship. So yeah, I try to do the same thing. I try not to make anything have to do with asking her a question about Casey. No, that's not fair. It's playtime. And it's playtime for her too. And we have to remember our vets need playtime. They need downtime. They need off time. They need girlfriend time. They need normal time.
Don't we all,
Yeah, we do.
Because if I had someone coming to me, you meet with, a friend and all they're asking is about work. I mean, that's not really much of a friendship.
No, it's not. It feels one-sided and it feels, depending on how you do it, it can feel to the veterinarian like you are using them. Like you're just not really their friend. You're just using them for free veterinary advice. And that wouldn't feel very good if they were doing that to you. So please don't do that to somebody else.
Yeah, no one would feel good about that.
No.
I mean, you did so much great research for this book. Was there anything that really surprised you?
What surprised me was when the CDC report on veterinary suicide came out, I looked into suicide prevention training. And there is an organization based out of the Pacific Northwest called the QPR Institute. And QPR stands for Question, Persuade, Refer. And they have a gatekeeper training. And so I took that training and I am a gatekeeper trainer, which means I teach people how to spot the signs of suicide and what to do. And what really surprised me is how easy it is to interrupt somebody in that really dark spiral, how to just interrupt them because you care about them. You don't have to know, you're not diagnosing and you're not treating. You are observing, and then you are questioning, persuading, and referring. That's it. You're just letting your caring heart come out of your mouth. So if you have a caring heart, then can you just open your mouth and say, hey, I'm a little worried about you. You want to talk? It's just that simple to save a life. It is just that simple. And so I take you through all the neurology to get you there. But in the last chapter, I share that. And that to me was very eye-opening, because we think in many societies, and probably it's just very human to think about suicide as taboo. Here we have this beautiful body and this beautiful life, and we end it ourselves. And nobody wants to talk about that. Nobody wants to, or they want to condemn it. In some societies, and I was just talking with someone yesterday who comes from a cultural background and in part religious, but it's also cultural background, where suicide is it's seen as such a bad thing that you can't be buried in the part of the church where the priests are. Your family is shunned for generations. Everybody has to be moved to a different part of the cemetery. You can't, if there's a suicide, it's horrible. And that's not helpful. To me, it's adding insult to injury. Because if somebody is in such a dark place that they're thinking about ending their own life, that's a lot of pain. And would you respond to somebody who was sitting on the sidewalk bleeding by yelling at them and telling them they're a terrible person for bleeding on the sidewalk? Or would you try to help them?
Yeah, exactly. And it's heartbreaking to think that some of these cultural things do happen, because it's almost like the people who are feeling the pain from the suicide, because there's lots of people that get injured from that, are being re-injured.
Yeah. It is horrible. For some people, getting to suicide is a chemical imbalance in the brain. And it could have gotten that way because of drug abuse or alcohol abuse or any number of things. It could be an organic problem in the brain. And for some people, getting to suicide is a coping skills problem. But I believe for everyone who contemplates suicide, it's pain and it's a fear that there's no way out. They feel boxed into a corner. And so when you have somebody who is a perfectionist, who is very hard on themselves, and who has a hard time asking for help, when they find themselves boxed into a corner, they may think about suicide. And when they're a veterinarian, and Marianne, as we've already talked about euthanasia, veterinarians know what to do. They have the tools, they know the dose. There are very few veterinary suicide attempts. If they get to the point of drawing up the drug, it's too late. So we have got to catch them before that. And it's not hard to catch them. And for most people who are contemplating suicide, I believe the number is between 90 and 95%. 90 to 95% of people who are actively thinking about completing a suicide, all that has to happen is somebody has to say, hey, I'm worried about you. Can you talk? Will you talk to me right now? Can we sit down over coffee or on the phone or whatever? Can you tell me how you're feeling? Because I want to help you. I really care about you. That's all you have to do, because they don't want to kill themselves, but they don't see a way out. All you have to give them is a hand, figuratively or literally. Give them a hand and let them know that somebody cares about them. And that can be all that is needed to end that thought process. And then you refer them for help. And there's the wonderful organization called Not One More Vet. And it was founded for veterinarians in crisis. And they fundraise and they take care of veterinarians who get to suicidal desperation and or attempt to suicide or get to the point of having to not work for a while because they're so stressed out. Somebody still has to pay their bills. So Not One More Vet does all kinds of great fundraising. I'm a contributor with every single thing that sells through my website, including my books. I am a contributor to Not One More Vet. And I love the work that they do because they financially assist veterinarians who are in trouble. And since part of the problem is financial stress to start with, that's a really good safety net for them.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much that they go through. And I was shocked to read the differences in suicide rates between male and female vets. I mean, I thought that was just horrible.
Yeah, it's almost 4 times more likely for a veterinarian to complete a suicide than someone in the general population. Male veterinarians, it's 2.1 times more likely. Female veterinarians, 3.5 times more likely. And about 75% of the suicides in the veterinary field are in the small animal practice area, not the food animal practice area, not the farm animal practice area, in the small animal practice area. That's our veterinarians. That's the people who take care of our pets, which is why I want every single pet owner in the world to read this book. Whether you get it handed down to you, or you hear it on Audible, or you get an e-version or whatever, I don't care. Just please get this book, listen to this book, take in the information and share it with everybody you know, because we can stop this problem. We can.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I feel like any place that adopts animals out should have this in their gift shop where people can purchase it.
That's a great idea. Thank you. I hadn't thought about that, Marianne. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, because I could see, when I went to go and get Maxwell years ago, I didn't even have a leash. I wasn't expecting to get a dog that day. So I went to their little gift shop and bought all the things I needed. And what a great place that would be,
Fabulous. That's a great idea. Thank you.
My goodness. I mean, Sandy, we could talk forever. I really appreciate all the knowledge and wisdom that you've shared with us today. Where can our listeners connect with you and be part of your community and learn more about your work?
You can find me on Facebook or LinkedIn. I'm at Sandy J. Weaver. June is my middle name, so Sandy J. Weaver there. My company, Center for Workplace Happiness, has a website, oddly named centerforworkplacehappiness.com. So you can find out more about veterinary suicide there, about Not One More Vet there. I would encourage everyone to go and support Not One More Vet. They have a Facebook page. You can do, for my birthday this year, I'm raising money for Not One More Vet. If you want to do that, that's like a great thing to do. Just kind of everywhere.
Well, Sandy, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Thank you, Marianne, for the invitation and for helping to spread the word and save veterinary lives. I appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Sandy. It has been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your new book, Happy Vet, Happy Pet. If you or someone you know is contemplating suicide, please call the suicide hotline. Now you can just dial 988 24/7, 7 days a week. There's somebody there. If you'd rather not talk with somebody on the phone, you can text them at 988, or you can actually get on the 988lifeline.org website and chat with somebody right now. No matter how bad it is, there are people here who want to help. Just make one phone call. It can change your life. Again, that number's 988. Happy Vet, Happy Pet's available at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and everywhere books are sold. Remember, please support our indie bookstores. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Marianne, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best.
Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmarianne.com for more information.